said this in the last podcast episode, but I genuinely don't believe that people know what generational wealth is and actually what is required to have generational wealth. People think that generational wealth is like just starting a business or, having a bunch of money saved or generating a lot of income in their lifetime and then like spending half of it and like leaving no, I'm telling you right now, generational wealth is wisdom. Like the best gift you can give your child is wisdom. And do you know how many people are deprived of wisdom? Many people don't have wisdom. Like wisdom it comes from God. Some people know certain things, but it's like our experience is so narrow and it's so limited. Like wisdom comes from God, the all-knowing Almighty, and when I think about everyone is in their focus, I'm like, oh, I want to create generational wealth. First of all, I always ask people, like, do you even know what that means? That means that you're willing to live on pretty much nothing. That does not mean we're taking trips to Turks and Caicos every weekend. That does not mean everybody is getting a Bentley. That's actually not what it means. It means that we are going to be living like, we're going to be like survivalists. That's literally like, I'm not even kidding. That's how you build generational wealth. And so many people are like, oh, we're going to build, like, that's not generational wealth. And even still, right? Even still, if you generate enough to where you don't got to be penny pinching, which you still should be penny pinching if you say you want to build generational wealth. People don't understand, man. I'm telling you, like the wisdom. Generational wealth and the way people accumulate generational wealth is not just because they made a lot of money in their lifetime. No, it's because they lived on nothing. And then they pass that on to the next generation. And then they lived on nothing. And they pass it on to the next generation. And it's like it accumulates and it constantly accumulates. But most importantly, what's passed down is the wisdom. And when you don't have financial literacy, like when you don't know, it's not really going to make a difference. Like I've seen documentaries. There was a documentary on Netflix. It was like about the swamps. I can't remember where it was. But it was African Americans, Black people. And the grandfather bought the home, but he's like he lost the property because it's like the children, he didn't have a will, and then it's like how often is this the storyline, and y'all know I talk about Bobo's Voice, one of my OG pods. I like that podcast. It's like a philosophy podcast. They're great, Bobo and Donovan, but it's like one thing I realized is like, people just don't, the wisdom is just not there. And they were talking about this too. This is actually why I referenced the podcast. Is like, there was this episode where Donovan was talking about money and just how easy it is to really acquire money. Like, it's really not that hard. He was like, it's like a formula, but like the things that aren't that aren't so formulaic, people don't really know how to form those things. And that's actually what makes life meaningful. And in this case, he was talking about relationships. But yeah, like even relationally, like why don't we put that same effort into like personal development? Why don't we put that same effort into like learning and unlearning and like figuring out things about ourselves and how we can love one another better? Why don't we put that same effort into that instead of like, going onto all these ventures to like make quote unquote generational wealth? So when you think about that, like when you really sit and think about that, it's just like, I definitely think overall, like I don't know. I think we do a lot of things and we say a lot of things because it sounds good. But I think in terms of actually like enact, I just don't think that the wisdom is not there. It's not there. Like, it's really not going to make a difference if you leave inheritance, but there's no wisdom or like knowledge in terms of how to manage, how to live moving forward. Like, and a lot of times people can't even pass that on because they don't even have it. So we're already off to we're already on the wrong track. The biggest flex is always going to be when you did not read the text and you passed the test. I don't care what anybody says. That's going to be the biggest flex every single time. And it's late. Your girl's up doing work. I realize a lot of things, but I'm low-key happy. Like, I'm low-key happy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a lot on my plate, but like, I really have God's grace because honestly, I'm like, how am I doing it? I don't know, but it's getting done. And so I'm very grateful for that. But, it's just late night. I'm like giddy because I had some coffee because I'm like up doing this homework and stuff. But I was just thinking about so many things as the music was playing. One, I realized how much I just love music. And when I know somebody's going through something, because this is the thing too, I always kind of feel like my mother was very nurturing in that way. Like she wasn't nurturing in a traditional sense. I mean, she is, but like it was just the music. Like I think everybody knows, like, you know, women, you be seeing the TikToks, like everybody be seeing the TikToks. Women have a way of playing music that really speaks to our emotions and really allows us to like process our emotions. And so, you know, I just love listening to music. And when I can find the perfect song to describe the moment or describe the season that I'm in, it's just like chef's kiss. You know what I mean? Like I literally love that so much. And like there's just something about listening to an album, which is rare because I feel like we live in a world today where it's like we don't really have a lot of good artists. I have to kind of go above and beyond to try to find those indie artists, and even still I'm still a little dissatisfied. So I don't know where I'm gonna really find good music. I'm just gonna like put it out there, hope that it comes to me, because it's so rare. Like I've been listening to Sampa, even though Sampa's kind of got like a melancholy type of flow, like it's really chill. I don't really listen to any of his upbeat songs because I actually kind of like the mellow mood. A lot of Cleo Soul lately. Love Cleo. Who else I've been listening to? Just a lot of like 90s, honestly. Like I'm listening to some Mariah Carey. Like, you know, like I haven't really found anything. Like I've been listening to a lot of gospel, but like I haven't really found anything that has really been hitting like the way I need it to be. So I'm kind of like replaying a lot of my old stuff. Like, and I don't know how to feel about it. But anyway, I love when I can find a song that like perfectly describes the moment or the emotion that I'm feeling. And when I can do that for other people, I just love that. I feel like my mom always had a way of like playing the songs to like settle us in. And like, you know, she just played music. And I think it was like, I don't know, you know, like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like, she really made the house feel like a home. And like I just think there's something about music and like the songs that you play and like, you know, things like that. I don't know. That's on a more positive tip, on a more up and up. But I was sitting here thinking about my life and just like where I am. You guys know I said I was going to be making content for the girls. You know, this is more so like for my target audience and more so for the audience that I feel like is on the pod. Speaking of the pod, do you guys like the new logo? I think it's so fly. Like I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. Like I don't even know what it's giving, but it's just giving fun. So first I want to start off by saying this. Y'all know this is kind of like personal diary. You could hear by the sound of my voice. Is kind of like late night vibe, but I want to start out by saying how much I love writing and how much I miss writing. I miss writing so much. Like it's been so long since I've really sat and like actually wrote something. It's so crazy, like being in a space in my life where it's like it's kind of taking a back seat to everything that I have going on, and I just miss it so much. Like I'm just like but on the up and up, I feel like the beautiful thing about life and seasons, and like sometimes when the things that we love take a back seat, I feel like for myself, I think that there is a sense of purpose in that, because you know, I felt like when you're constantly writing, I don't know, it gets kind of like repetitious. And I feel like in order to write, at least for me, I needed to kind of shift focus and like experience life a little bit. I feel like so much of the work that I was in, like knee deep in activism in terms of like, you know, what I was seeing, advocating about certain things. Like I just needed I needed some breathing room. You know, the work is very heavy. And so I felt like my work started to just become like very repetitious, and I just didn't really feel like there was anything insightful within it. So I'm kind of grateful that right now I'm taking this time to kind of step back, live life, read a lot more, and gain some experience. So I'm really hoping to come back to writing like more fresh and new. I think another thing I've learned like in this little break, you know, is that I love doing what I do when I don't really have the pressure of like anybody on my back. You know what I mean? Like I like the flow of creation. You know, I'm really not into like deadlines, and you know what I mean? Like I push back a lot against like consistency culture, just a little bit, because I do think that there's something in that. Like I think that I've seen a lot of people go off on the deep end with consistency culture to where it's like, now you're just saying anything. Now you're just doing anything, you're creating anything, you're saying anything, because it's like, you find yourself in a space where it's just like, you're just trying to be consistent. You're just trying to get it out there, and it's just not really giving what you think it's giving. And I think for me, I'm so big on quantity. I'm so big on quality versus quantity. So that's also something I've learned about myself. But I feel like as we're coming into spring, which today was such a fabulous day. Like, I had such an amazing day with my family. That's why I'm up doing homework super late, like a crazy person. But I had such an amazing time with my family. Like, it was just such a great day. I feel so blessed and I feel so grateful. And like, I'm definitely extending that love and sharing that love to you guys who are listening to the pod today. Like, I genuinely just feel like I've been through so much in these last couple of years. Like, life is so crazy, but it's always changing. So definitely just like sending out words of encouragement to anybody who's going through a rough patch, tough times in your life right now. Just know that like, it's truly temporary and things will really change. I really do believe that prayer changes things. So make sure you stay prayed up. When I tell you guys, I was really going through, like, I'm not even where I was a month ago. Like, I'm looking at this mug right now. It's so timely. Like, God is so real. But the mug that I have really does say prayer changes things. But it's like, I pray for so much grace with everything that I'm carrying. And it's like, I just feel like, even though in my mind I'm drowning, it's like I'm really getting through it like seamlessly. And it's really because God's grace, and like God is helping me carry these loads. So definitely just want to send up like blessings, prayers, and an encouraging word to anybody who's on the other end. Like, God really got you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're literally going to be okay. You're going to come out of this. You're going to be in such a better space. And honestly, I could literally cry tears of joy, because when I think about where I was like a few years ago, I had no idea I would be where I am today. Like, I literally went through some of the worst years of my life, or at least what I felt like was some of the worst years of my life. Lost everything. You know what I mean? Literally lost everything. Almost lost my mind. Like, it was crazy. And so just to kind of be where I am today, it's like completely, restored, and it's literally by God's grace, and so I'm just so grateful to be in this season of my life. And like I was saying, spring is around the corner. And so you guys know I've made podcast episodes about like the past and, things like that, and getting over the past. And, one thing I've learned, because I talked about this in that last podcast episode where I was low-key rambling, but I was talking about how we'll find ourselves in spaces like in therapy and things like that, where we're wanting to bring up old things. And because I'm getting ready to wrap up therapy for myself, I really love that my therapist is so intentional in encouraging me to look forward with my life, and so intentional in encouraging me to, be positive and like not really dwell on the things that I can't change, which is the past. And I want to kind of talk about this, because I think the thing about being in the past and even thinking about the past, dabbling in the past, the whole nine, right? Like the past entirely, is that after a while, you kind of start to create stories that like aren't there. You know what I mean? Like, you really kind of start to play with the narrative and the memories. And it's like, after a while, you kind of no longer remember what actually happened, but now it's like a figment of your imagination, and it can either be positive or it can be negative. And I think the dangers of that is like, it really robs you of the experience. And so one thing I've learned too, like, especially when we talk about acceptance, right? Talking about like for family and things like that, I've learned that you can certainly craft a narrative in your head about a certain person that you may not want to cut off, like whether it's your family member, you know what I mean? More specifically, like people that you love, but they're never going to change. You could craft a narrative in your head to make the situation tolerable, right? Like, it doesn't have to be insufferable, but at the end of the day, it's like, you can't stay in that space and play with it too much, because you really will start to, you're gonna be like delusional about like what really happened and what is taking place. And so I think when you talk about the past, like, because we're coming into spring, you guys know, like, we're coming out of Egypt. Okay, I really feel like it's one of those things where I really just feel like there's something about like a breath of fresh air. I think one thing I've learned is like, nobody really knows what the future holds. I think with all of the mistakes I've made, like, I look back over certain things. I'm like, oh, wow, that really would have worked out if I was like where I am today. But then it's like, I don't know. I have no regrets, because I'm just like, at the end of the day, like, you just live and you learn, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally it. Like, you literally just live and you learn. And, one thing I started doing right now I'm on a no complaint challenge. And I actually think I've been doing pretty good with it, quite frankly. But by not complaining, it has brought so much gratitude in my life. It has brought so much peace into my life. So I truly believe that, if you can get to that space in your life where you're like, okay, I'm no longer complaining about certain things. I'm very grateful for where I am. I have a bright future ahead of me. I can't control everything, but I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to take the lessons that I've learned, but I'm not going to dwell, because when you dwell, it's like you start creating narratives and things that it's not real. Like, that never happened, And so I think your mind can kind of play tricks on you. So I am just coming on to like encourage you to just kind of like push forward. I think by moving forward, even in terms of like forgiveness, I have so much joy in my heart. Like, I just thank God so much for that, because I really struggled with forgiveness. Like, I was definitely someone who had the chip on her shoulder. And I still probably do a little bit, like, but I think overall, I'm being serious, I do feel like forgiving people and moving on in my life, like, I do think that has really opened my heart up for like love, which brings me to this next piece of love. I just copped Toni Morrison's book, Love. It just came in the mail today. I'm super excited. I got like 3 books that came today. I actually didn't open up Love yet, but it made me think about love in terms of like what love is and who love is and what love does, My favorite movie is Love Jones, but it's not the point. Sidebar. Not to sidebar. Dial it back. I was really sitting here thinking about how, like, people say relationships are things that you shouldn't look for and like, it should just come naturally. And though I'm with all of that, I really am. I realized that like I had never been the type of person to be like, okay, I want a relationship, like I felt like I was always in relationships when I really didn't want to be in a relationship. And I think it was because I wasn't ready, but I also just feel like I never was ever at a place in my life where I felt ready. And like now I'm at this point in my life where I actually feel ready. Like, and it's crazy. And I think even still right now, like I'm so big on God's timing with everything, because I do want certain things for myself in my life. Talking about like relational investments, but I also am at a point in my life where I just think that like I have so much on my plate right now. Like, I don't really know. Like, it's definitely going to be giving like God's, divine timing. But all in all, I genuinely just think like it's really something about women being in a space where it's like, that you want a relationship and you're actually ready for it. Like, I genuinely don't think that women prioritize that, like I think for a lot of us, like we're just very passive, because it's like, okay, the men are the pursuers, the men are the initiators. But I just think for so many women, it's really like this passive thing. And I don't think it should be that way. Like, I don't think you should find yourself just like in relationships if you haven't even asked yourself, like, do you even want a relationship? Do you even want to be in a relationship? You know what I mean? And I guess this is more so me sharing my experience in terms of like the things that I've learned and the lessons that I've learned. Because I genuinely just feel like I really used to find myself in a space where it's like I'm in relationships I don't want to be in, like I never wanted it, but it was really just because I felt like I really took a passive approach. And so I think that you should really take your time. Like, and I think when you're ready to be in a relationship, as women, like it's completely okay to like express that and be like, yeah, I'm ready to be in a relationship. But I just don't think that ever really happens. Like, it always seems to be some other kind of way, how that goes. And it just, at least for me, and maybe because I was really passive, where it was just like, but yeah, I think that you should probably do a little choosing, and you should be like, like, am I ready to be in a relationship? Because I think that like women are always kind of seen as like, of course we want a relationship. Of course, you know what I mean? And so I think it's like we're always kind of coerced into like being in relationships when we probably really don't even want to be there. But it's like we're always seen as like, oh, of course women want to be in relationships, I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm getting ready to end this podcast because I don't even know what it's giving, quite frankly. But yeah, spring is almost here. I hope you guys are having a spirit of cheer. And I hope you're really like getting yourself in everything like in order for spring, like I really do think that there's really something said about like, I mean, it's not even just spring fashion and like, your clothes and things like that. But I just think like mentally, winter is such a rough season because it's like everything is like pretty dead, like even layers of ourselves. I really feel like winter allows us to rest, and I think it allows us to like be redirected and refreshed and like renewed. And so I really feel like spring really brings about a harvest, and I think too with winter, it's like, we're indoors, we're typically working, you know what I mean? So it's like, come spring, we have a harvest, So it's like, I really do believe in that. So I really hope you guys are getting ready to like shed the old and like come into the new and just embrace the goodness of the Lord and everything that is going to be in your life this upcoming season. Like you have no idea, and I'm even saying this for myself. Like I'm literally so excited because I just feel like God is so good. And I want to say this too, because one thing I've learned, somebody that I follow was online and they were just like talking about how someone stole their content. Now this is kind of like a sidebar, but I honestly, I feel like the crazy thing about the internet is that there is intellectual property, but a lot of times it's not copyrighted. So I think we have to be mindful of the things that we create and the things that we do, especially when it comes to like being online, sharing our ideas and certain things like that. Like I remember when I used to kind of like sketch and I would have certain ideas for like, businesses or logos or, designs or whatever. And I was like posting things kind of like freelance type work, but I was like immediately, no, absolutely not, so you have to also kind of realize that too. Like when you put things online, it's pretty much like free game, unless you are really willing to do that work. And I know that a lot of times people don't really want to hear that. But I do think that there is some legalities and like some realism to it. But I also think too, like, I don't know, I think the things that I think when you talk about like thoughts and I'm sure there is some intellectual property, like, inevitably, like I actually met a lawyer when I was taking ballet and she told me that she literally was like an intellectual property, like attorney. So that's the thing. But I think if you're not willing to look into that, I don't know. I think because we live in we have freedom of speech, I'm not really sure what would necessarily constitute as like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that, again, like with certain things online, you just kind of have to know, like, I'm going to say this, I guess, to just kind of summarize, because I'm not, in alliance with people who take people's work. But I will say that I think when you're online, you do have to kind of realize like what you're up against. And yeah, I don't know. I think, is it frustrating? I'm sure. I think it's also one of those things too, where I think for a lot of people, when like someone who's in a powerful position or someone who has more influence takes someone's work, unless it's like a big house type thing, or unless you have like a really big loyal fan base, it's really easy to do. Like I've seen that happen with so many creators. It's really sad. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here in front like I wouldn't be upset. So I'm never going to be like, oh, I can't really speak to that because I've never experienced it. But yeah, I think that is kind of like, that's kind of like the cash grab thing. Like that's kind of like what people do. And I don't know. I think that you really do have to be like so detached from your outcomes. Like when you put things out there, it's really no telling where it's going to land up. You know what I mean? Like you don't really know. Like we have no control over the likes, the shares, you just don't have no control over that. But like I said, I get it. If someone was to steal your design or something that you really worked hard on, like that really sucks. So I don't know, you guys. I think like as even myself, being someone who like has this type of platform and, being in this kind of like naivete space, it's a little different. I do think, is it risky? Yes. I don't think for myself though, I've ever really attach my sense of self-worth to the thing that I'm creating, because I just think that's the vessel. Like I'm the creator, you know what I mean? So it's like, we will always pivot. We will always create. We will always be fruitful and multiply, because God is in me. So it's like, I don't really, it's not really giving like running out of ideas. I don't really feel like I'm scarce in that sense. And I don't know, I think it's like doing things that you enjoy because you enjoy them, but I also think for myself, this is also the reason why I was so I was so mindful of like the things that I was doing online, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't really sure what that would look like as far as like pursuing that path specifically. I think for, you know what I mean? Like, or solely. Like, I think a lot of people, it's like, this is all that there is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think for myself, I found a way to kind of parallel that, so where I can actually enjoy my gifts. I can enjoy my creativity. I can enjoy the communities, and the people who enjoy, you know, this kind of like hobby with me as well, you know, and there's not really this pressure to, you know, be or do or anything like that. Like, I think for me, I say this, you guys know, like 300 episodes ago, I was like, and the reason why I stand on that is because I do feel like I am an artist. I do feel like it is, you know, a form of artistry for me. And I do enjoy the hobby in itself. You know, like, I think that life is so much more fun when you don't capitalize certain things. Like, I think I like to kind of keep work in work's place. And then I think in terms of like your gifts and the things that you do, you know, have as hobbies, it takes time to kind of build that into like a business and like kind of like have that funnel. But I think for a lot of people, it's something that is done with little intention, you know, and I think you have to be mindful of that. Like, is that really what you want? You know what I mean? How much of that do you want to share? How much of that do you want to produce? How much of that do you really want to give away to people? Like, I think that that's something that you have to really ask yourself, you know, because I think if not, you can really find yourself being used and caught up in that, you know, capitalistic type of cycle. And you don't really have no control over it. You know, it's like getting a manager, kind of like with your gifts, with your creativity. And then you find yourself being managed and you find yourself being exhausted and like, you know, so I think you have to be mindful of that. And then I think you also have to ask yourself, like, what are you looking for? You know, and this is why I do believe that we have to pray, like, you know, not thy will, but not my will, but thy will be done, because it's like I only want my portion. I only want what's for me. You know what I mean? I'm not really willing to do, like, I don't want to be managed. You know, I learned that, you know, when I was working as an intern, like, you know, for different writing, as a copywriter, like doing advertisements and things like that around the city. I was like, I like my voice. You know what I mean? I wanted to say what I wanted to say. And, you know, even going to school and studying journalism, you know, even reading certain scholars like works and things like that. I'm like, I mean, I do want to grow in this area, but it's like, I kind of like what I'm doing over here. And it's not really a sense of complacency. It's more so like, this is me. This is my niche. This is my lane. This is what is authentic to me. And I don't think that I'm willing to tailor this message to kind of like make more money, or, you know what I mean? Make it, you know, I don't know. It's just like, if I'm going to create something and it's going to be hot or not, you know, it's going to be a flop or not, then let it do what it's going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I think that that's the flow. That's the thing, like with creation, like you talk about divinity, like it's a gift from God, right? Creativity is a gift from God. So it's like, I think that you have to just kind of let it flow like that, you know, like you can't, I think the moment that you try to start controlling outcomes is when you get out of alignment with the thing that you love and the thing that you enjoy. You know, let work be work. You know what I mean? Let it be what it's going to be. Like, create your thing and do the things that you love, and like create from that flow state. You know what I mean? And I think that at that point, it's like there's possibility for multiplication. But even if it isn't, it's like, at least you created something that was original. At least you created something that you can be proud of, versus kind of like being in this constant state of expectancy. Like, I just think that that's crazy. And then I think too, you know, we talk about your portion. Like, I don't know why I think that people don't realize it, but you know, it's not being negative. It's just like, the reality is this, like, the larger you become, you know, the more people got their hands in it. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be managed. I knew a lot of things about myself. I know a lot of things about myself now that I'm older, and I think it's important for you to know yourself as well. Like, you have to know who you are. Like, I know me, I'm very type A. I want to do things my way. Like, you know, like, I work well with others. You know, I think I can be a great team player, but a lot of times it's like, I want to do things my way. Like, you know, like, I'm not that person, you know, given certain things. Like, I like to work independently. That's why, you know, I'm a writer. Like, I like to do the things that I do. And it's like, that's what I like. You know what I mean? That's me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really here for certain things because I want it to look a certain type of way and I want it to be a certain type of way. So it's like, okay, if that means that, you know, I'm the little engine that could, if I'm the one woman army in the sense of, okay, I have, family or friends or whoever, you know what I mean? Helping me build my business or whatever. And it's like, it may not be va-va-voom, or maybe it'll get there within the next 10 years or whatever the case may be. Then that's just what it's going to be. Because I'm not in a rush, I just think people don't realize that. And then I think in terms of people jocking your creativity, well, you have to understand people aren't really original. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things. People aren't original. I think another thing too, it's like, again, like I said, when you put things on the internet, I don't know, it's kind of, people are going to be inspired, but most importantly, I think that you can't really control it at that point, but I think, when it's all said and done, it's like maybe we should have a, I don't know, imitation is definitely kind of annoying, but I don't know. I think for me, again, like now that I'm like sold out for Christ, I'm just not really, I'm not, and this is the thing too, because I've never been in a situation per se, at least not to my awareness, and even still, I don't know, but I just think that I'm not egotistical, like, yes, I'm type A. Yes, I, believe in the things that I create. Like, yes, I want to create things that I'm proud of. Yes, I want to be in, creative state of flow. And like, I want things to be authentic and organic. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just not egotistical to that extent, like I'm really not. And it's not to say that I don't want money, because I didn't really feel like that was, I don't know. I just think it's like, sometimes we have to just kind of pull ourselves back from a lot of things and like think freely, think differently about situations, and just like completely just step back, and just like step off the scene and just like step off in general. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds like, how would you handle it? Like, I don't know if that sounds irresponsible, or if that sounds irresponsible, or if it sounds like, carelessness, or like I'm being, ambiguous. But I don't know. I just think it's like I remember with my book, when I had my book and I like celebrated and everything, like it was great. And I feel like my book did great, given that I had marketed on Instagram to the people that I followed. But I don't know. I think when I started thinking about like my book being bigger and like, the contents that were within my book, I felt like it was so real. It was like real stories. I don't know if I wanted that. I don't know if I was ready for that. I felt like telling my story, and I wrote about this. It's a poem that I did. It's called Famous. I said, telling my story made me feel like I was selling my soul. I said, what's an honorable mention if inside my soul gonna need some stitching? I was very aware of, the magnitude of like an audience, like a large audience, and like people having their hands in that. Like, I just, and like I said, I can't control that. Like, if that's what God wants for me, but I just felt like it was no way I was going to go out and seek that, because to me, it just felt a little damaging, quite frankly. It just felt a little damaging. It felt a little evasive, and I wasn't really here for that. I really wasn't. And so I don't know. I think, one, you have to ask yourself, what is your definition of success? And then two, I think you need to you have to unlearn the world's definition of success. You know what I mean? Like, and you have to unlearn certain ideas. You think that the only way for you to make money is for you to be famous. You know what I mean? You think the only way for you to, be fruitful and like have a great life is to be, like this huge influencer, like, you have this very linear type of way of thinking. And I think that's kind of what the world does. And I think that's why so many people are hostile towards one another. That's why we have so much people are stealing people's content. Like, it just gets crazy. It just gets crazy out there, because it's like people are competing for scarce resources. But it's like when you're tapped in with God, it's like God is abundant, so it's like you're never gonna run out of anything. And I just think that like taking a step back, it's like you just have so much more peace in that. And like I said, I think when you start really thinking about success, especially in terms of like American society, like really ask yourself, like, what am I looking for? I just want to think about this too. I was thinking about, I mentioned this in the previous podcast episodes, but I was thinking about like immigrants, and how in other countries, America is seen as this land of like, just, it's just the land of the free, right? Like, it's just, it's something completely different than the gruesome and the grotesque reality of America. But I was thinking about, I was just thinking about how immigrants come here and it's like they're just shopping, they're buying up all these things, like they're getting all these credit cards, and it's just completely no financial literacy. And it's just crazy to me how like we're all on the same page about like what success is, like universally. And people go to ruins to get it. And it's not just a matter of like selling your soul or doing anything crazy. It's just like people put themselves in like thousands of dollars of debt, you know what I mean, just to kind of buy, like, it's stupid, you know, it's really, really stupid. So I don't know. I think as I get older, I learn more things about myself. I think I learn more about the world. You know, I'm in Christ. I just have peace. You know, I think that there's really something said about that. But in my life, there's no way, like in no area of my life am I complacent. I mean, God is moving so swiftly in my life. Like nothing in my life is the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like as it was last year, last month, you know, even my therapist was telling me that. She's like, you're not even the same. Like I'm really not, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I just realized like, it's really true. You know, you seek the kingdom of God, like everything else will be added onto you. And I spoke about this too on my Instagram page. I was just talking about how a lot of people think that Christians are poor. Because I know for myself, like when they try to, well, I'm going to not say this, I'm going to say when God was knocking at my door, like, you know, a few years ago, like early on, I remember I had this Christian therapist I was talking to, and I was just telling her how I was like, I can't come into this lifestyle because I can't be poor. And she was like, you're not going to be poor. And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like all Christians are, you know, and that was my mentality, you know. But what's so crazy is like, you know, being on the other side of it and actually being in the walk and like walking with God, you realize that like, no, you are, not only are you blessed, but it's like, because you have God, you realize that you have things that the world will never give you, right? Which is peace, which is joy. And God is abundant. So he meets your every need, right? So you have, you know, financial stability or whatever. But it's so crazy because it's like these things don't have you, you know? So it's like when you talk about God, you talk about the boldness of God. It's like the beauty in Christ. It's like you just find yourself being blessed with this stuff, but it's just extras, you know, like it doesn't really move you because it's like, one, it doesn't define you. It doesn't have you, you know, like these are just things. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool. It's temporarily, I guess it's nice to, you know what I mean? Like it's comfortable, but it's like, it's not anything that really moves you. It's not anything that really sustains you because it's like, you know, like, you know, where the things lie. It's really crazy, quite frankly. And I think that really is just like the blessings of the Lord. Like it truly does make you rich in spirit. So it's like everything else is just kind of like, it's like a plus, you know what I mean? But it doesn't have you. And so I say that to say too, you know, one thing I learned about Christians and even myself is like, the thing about it is like when you have wisdom from the Lord, you actually have financial, you know how to manage your money. You know, you have financial, you have wisdom, you know, you have financial literacy. And so it's kind of like, that's another thing too. I don't think that Christians are broke. I just don't think that they're flashy, you know, and most people who are flashy, and I talked about all this on my Instagram page, but most people who are flashy are just typically trying to cover up something because like they really just don't want you to see like that they have nothing on the inside. And that's the thing too about like accumulation and like, you know, people are you're constantly looking for things on the outside to fill your spirit, but it's like, it's never going to happen like that. Like your spirit is never going to be fulfilled with anything outside of you being attached to your creator and like you knowing who God says you are and who God called you to be and you living out that life. You know, like anything else is just fleeting. And this is why we have so many marketing agencies and advertising companies, you know what I mean, telling us like, oh, look, if you buy this, you're going to get that happiness. You're going to get that man. You're going to get that woman. If you get this body, if you get, you know, if you make this money. And then it's like, it's never ending because it's like, it's always another step. You know what I mean? You'll never be enough. You can never be enough for the world. Like it just is always changing. So not to go on a tangent, but yeah, I truly believe that. I truly believe that you will really have peace. I have peace in my life. Like you hear it in my voice. You know what I mean? Like I'm on a coffee tip. You know what I mean? Like this is no wine. This is no substance, like nothing. I'm literally at peace. Like I have not meditated and I don't even know how long. Like this is literally nothing but the peace of the Lord. So go get you some of that. Because one thing I'm gonna tell you about the world, like people are shiesty. It's shiesty. It's crazy out here. I'm not even kidding. Like we are really in some dark times. Like the news that I just found out about things that are going on within my family, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like it's pretty wicked out here. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, I think that we are at this point now where it's like there are no morals, there are no bounds. You know what I mean? People are completely reckless, like just completely unhinged. People are completely unhinged. So it's like you have to understand that as well. So don't let the things have you. You know, if you're going to have your hobbies, you're going to have your platforms, you're going to have your business, do it all to the glory of God. And, you know, be at peace with your portion, be at peace with your lot. And, you know, don't put limitations on God. God is not God. A lot of things of the Lord are very different from the things of the world. So, you know, the world is going to tell you that in order for you to have wealth and prosperity or whatever it is that you desire, you got to be like famous and you have to have this large platform. So don't ever get confused in that. Like, please don't find yourself going down the wrong path, because really in your heart, you're chasing the wrong things. Again, the Bible says, seek the kingdom of God first, and all things will be added unto you. God knows your heart. He knows your portion. He knows what's going to be right for you. So please do not veer off your path. Do not find yourself pierced with many sorrows, you know what I mean, chasing after the things of this world, because it's fleeting. Everything that shines is not glitter. It's everything that's gold is not really giving what you think it's giving. Okay, I don't even know how that saying go. What is it? Everything that shines ain't gold. Everything that glitters ain't gold. Yes, everything that glitters really isn't gold. You know, and that's not to be like, oh, eat the rich, or, you know, I'm not hating on people who got money. Do you. I'm just letting y'all know that, you know, a lot of times you'll be thinking it's giving that, and it's not giving that at all. It's not giving that at all. Like, you have no idea how blessed you are. And I think the more I mature, the more God blesses me with wisdom. And when I tell you, I would not trade lives with one single person on this earth, honey. I would literally not trade lives with like one single person on this earth. Like, I'm good on my position. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about coveting. I don't covet nobody's nothing. I only want what's for me. And I'm so content, like, with my life and my portion, because I feel like it's for me. You know, like, when you talk about being aligned with the Lord, you start talking about like walking in your purpose and like being in God's will for you. He gonna turn you up. He gonna take you from a zero to a hero. You better get right or get left, because I'm telling you right now, you're never going to meet the world's standards. People are always going to be shiesty. There's always going to be somebody who got, you know, more than you, whether that's more power, whether that's more influence or whatever. And people are going to do what they're going to do. I just told you, people are unhinged. People are really, like, Satan's doing his big one. It's getting crazy out here, you know? So it's just like, why even engage? You know, why even let that, you know, like, he says, I'm going to give you perfect peace. I have perfect peace. I'm ready to do this homework. You know, I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hopefully catch my favorite movie, because it's really late. But I got to read a couple pages of my book today. I had a fabulous time out with my family. I did a little shopping. You know, I don't have a problem. You do. And I say that because I feel like I'm always in the mall. It's so sad. But I don't really be buying anything, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't really be shopping up like too crazy. I mean, come on, realistically, like, it's the mall. Like, it's something in the malls anyway. It's just more so the experience. You know, growing up in my family, we used to always go to the mall. Like, it was just like our little thing, or at least like me and my sis, you know. So it's like, for us, that's just, you know, that's just our little hangout spot. Like, that's just what we do, you know. But, okay, I hope you got something from this podcast. All in all, I'm just saying, like, let go of the past. You know, it's okay to think fondly of people in your past. It's okay to think fondly of certain things. But a lot of times, that rumination, you're just going to be, it's like a puzzle. You're just going to start, like, recreating things that just were never there. And it's a lot of wasted mental space, you know. So just keep it a buck. Stay present, stay blessed, stay well, stay healthy. Enjoy your hobbies, enjoy your portion, enjoy your work. You know, be grateful, don't complain, be grateful, see the good in everything. And life will really get like 10 times better for you. And yeah, like, learn to chill out. You know, seriously, like, learn to chill out on the hobbies. Like, the business is going to come, but like, I'm going to tell you right now, it takes work to start a business. I don't care what anybody says. Do not let this world fool you. It is literally ignorant to think that you can start a business tomorrow. Like, it don't work like that. I'm sorry, it don't work like that. And trust me, I know from my own trial and error and I've had one of the easiest businesses, I would say. It does not work like that. It is not overnight. So if you're not willing to put in the work and get on the road for the things that you're asking God for, please stop asking him, because he said, I'm tired. I'm telling you right now, the Lord said, I'm tired. He says, I'm tired. I'm tired of y'all asking me for things y'all not willing to work for. You asking for that person's portion over there, but are you willing to put in the work to get what that person has? No, you're not. He knows that. That's why he didn't give it to you. He's like, stop asking. Quit asking. Because I'm giving you a position and everything that you're still not taking it. Let it go. Let it go. So this is why we pray and bow your head. Okay. Not my will, but thy will be done. Because anything outside of that, you're really asking for chaos. You're asking for craziness. You're opening the door to just dysfunction, drama, and chaos. Pure chaos. Find your peace within the Lord. Find your peace within your portion. Go on about your days. Enjoy your lot, okay? If God wants to bless you with riches, that's what it's going to be. If he don't, hey, stay grateful. You know what I mean? Be grateful for what you got, because that's just really how it works. So, yeah. And then you have to understand, too, like, somebody asked me this, and it was like, why do you want more money? This was like back when I really didn't know why I wanted more money. And I'm like, it's so true. Why do I want more money? Like, I'm just going to buy stuff. Like, I don't know. And this sounds crazy, like saying this to people, because people maybe think, oh, are you an underachiever? Oh, are you, it doesn't give any of that. Like, I feel fully capable. I believe that God is really going to do some great things in my life. I mean, I'm only 26, but it's like, I'm just not pressed, like I'm not pressed. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's going to come. I'm always going to be working, because that's what God has given me. You know what I mean? Purpose. He's given me determination. You know what I mean? He's given me diligence. I'm very diligent in my works, so it's like I'm always going to be working. But I just think, like, to be so geeked up and so thirsty, you know what I mean, for like materialism and like tangible, like, it's crazy to me. It just don't make no sense. And I'm not talking about people who, you're in a situation right now, God got you in a season where your needs are not being met. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, you're doing good, like you're really good right now, and you're just thirsty to, like, be somewhere else. Like, you should just, like, you know what I mean? Like, why? Especially at this young age, like, you have your whole life. You have your whole life to become something. You have your whole life to work towards something. And I do think that there is something about the journey being the most rewarding part. I actually heard this young boy, he went to Harvard. This is a black boy. He said, people don't really care where you start, and they don't really care how you finish. It's more so like what you did in the middle, like what you were doing in the meantime. I believe that. I think is everything that happens along the way, because it's just like, I tell people this all the time. I was someone who was like a vision board manifeste, you know what I mean? Baddie. And I test drove certain cars. Like, I've been in a Maybach, and to me, it just doesn't really give anything. Like, if I'm miserable today and I go get in this Maybach, I'm going to be miserable in the Maybach. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to give peace. It's never going to give peace. Like, anytime you're stepping out of God's will to get anything, it's never going to give peace. And the crazy thing is, it's like God literally tells us, he says, no good thing will I withhold from you. You know what I mean? Like, he tells us too, like, you're not getting your prayers are not being answered because you're asking out of selfish ambition. And he talks about too, like, asking it shall be given. So it's like, he's faithful. Like, he's not withholding anything from you. It may not be your time, but most importantly, I just think the things that we ask for is just like, it's just, I'm not going to say it's stupid, but I'm just going to tell you that, like, we're really misled in American society. We're really misled in the world, because we really think that certain things are going to bring about certain things, and they're just not. That doesn't mean be lazy. That doesn't mean don't try. That doesn't mean don't pray. That doesn't mean don't, you know what I mean? Like, no. But what I am saying is, like, really enjoy your life. Like, truly enjoy your life. Enjoy where you are. Enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. Enjoy your life. Because, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, this really doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, it's all just a vessel. It's all just a tool. And I was talking about this on Instagram too. Like, I had found myself taking a drive the other day, and I found myself so far out in the boonies, I almost had a panic attack. Just because I just felt like, it was just giving, like, farm fields. I said, oh Lord, honey, I got to get up out of here. I'm like, I cannot get pulled over. I just don't know. Anyway, That was me. But it's just like, you have these big houses with some people, and it's like it's two people, and it's just giving soulless, it's giving wallless, it's giving bound, like it's just not giving what I think it's giving. And I think for so many people, it's like you have these standards, and it's like, oh, when I get rich or whatever, and it's like, this is the type of lifestyle I want to live. And it's like, is that even really the type of house you want to live in? Is that even the thing that you want? And it's so crazy, because it's like, I don't know why people are always like thinking that like we're Christians, like we're always saying like we don't like nice things or we don't want nice things. It's nothing like that. It's just a matter of like not letting those things have you. It's like we want those things if God's going to bless us with those things, if our works are gonna, produce a harvest that allow us to get those things. But it's like you don't want those things outside of the will of God, because it's never going to give everything it's going to give. You're not going to have no peace. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be so sad, because you're going to be like working overtime. When I tell you the things that I'm carrying, when I say the Lord has carried me, when I tell you his grace has carried me, like when I tell you, I'm not even kidding. Like, yeah, he's real. He's literally carried me. Like it's just no way that I'm staying afloat with all the things that I'm carrying on my back. Like, and I'm literally just like walking across water, like nothing. Like it's easy. Like I be stressing myself out, every little now and then, but like not really. Quite frankly, I've really been living life. I've been sleeping. I've been drinking my water. I'm tapping into my hobbies. Y'all know I got some expensive hobbies, and I'm just like living life. I'm being loved by my friends and my family. Like I'm blessed. I am truly blessed. And with all this stuff that's going on, I'm in perfect peace. And the Lord is truly carrying me. He is truly carrying me. He said, we got to get you to this destiny, whatever it is he has for me, because he know I'm sold out. I told him, listen, my life is yours. Okay. And now I'm just gliding. I'm literally like gliding in this thing. And it's a vibe. It's a vibe, man. Get right with Christ. It's a vibe. Like, honestly, this is the best life I just couldn't even imagine anything. I wouldn't even want anything else outside of this. Like, I'm truly living life. Like, I didn't know what living life was until I actually came into Christ. Like, life is good. Life is great. And it's so true. It's so true. He says, the things that you suffer, you know what I mean? The tribulations, the pain, all of that, none of it can compare to the joy that you are going to experience. And when I tell you, your girl is elated, I'm elated. Like, I'm truly vibed out. Like, I could go make a cake right now, but it's really late. And I'm going to like just chill and get this work done, because I'm not going to overdo it. And I already been on here for 46 minutes. But it's not giving procrastination. And it's also giving peace, because it's like the work is about to get done. And even still, it's like he's giving me so much grace to where it's like we can get the work done tomorrow. You know what I mean? And the work is still going to be done. Like, honestly, that's a good man. He's a good man, Savannah.